Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a minute, but I'm back. And I've just been looking at what people have been asking a lot. So my intention is to address all that before I go forward with my initial plan of the things I wanted to talk about. But I find some of these things are actually the basis of everything. And I think it would really help people, especially those looking to come. And so today we'll be talking about the IELTS exam and what it's all about, what to expect, how I worked around it. But the thing is, we're all different, and also I must point out that I'm not a certified tutor or a pro at it. I basically just winged it and I made it. So I'll just go into it and tell you what I know about it and how I tackled it. So basically, the IELTS is an English test that is used for study, immigration, or work purposes. And there are two test types. We've got the IELTS academic and the IELTS general. So for professional purposes, the IELTS academic is the one that you register for or the one that you sit for. And this is just to assess your English language skills, your listening, your reading, your writing, and your speaking. So yeah, it's, when I first heard about the whole English test thing, I was like, I'm gonna ace this thing. What, like, I learned English at school, but actually it's deeper than we think, honestly, and it needs enough preparation, honestly, if I may say. And from my own experience, I basically did it in 2 weeks. I relaxed and just woke up one day and realized I was 2 weeks away from the exams. I looked for a tutor. I did intensive lessons like for the 2 weeks before, and I sat for the exam and I made it at the first attempt, yes. But my reading, I realized like 2 days before I went for the exam that my reading was a bit tricky. Like the reading part of it for me was a bit tricky. So you have to find what works for you in every part. Like people could say we did it like this, but that doesn't mean that that's how it's going to be for you as well. For example, for the reading, for me, people would say you read everything and then answer the questions. But I found that if I read everything, by the time I'm on the fourth paragraph, I've forgotten what's on the first, second paragraph. So what I did was kind of go like sort of read the question first and then go and look for the answer. And what I learned was pick keywords in the question that you use to locate the answer in the paragraph. Then you read that paragraph and you get your answer. So anyway, I'm going into the tips now. Let me start from the top and then I explain as we go. So basically, it's recommended for professional IELTS academic is recommended for professional purposes. For those who want to come for work, IELTS academic is the one for you. And then I've had a few people ask me this anyway. So IELTS academic, and then all test takers should take. All test takers take the same listening and speaking, but then it differs now on the reading and the writing. Like if you're taking general and you're taking academic, the difference is on the reading and the writing part of it. So you can't, there's no way, like there's a difference. And then the test format, I'll talk about listening first, and then it's 4 of them. So it's listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So I'll go like into each one by one. So I'll start with listening, and with listening, there are 4 records that you're going to listen to, 4 recordings basically. Recording 1 is a conversation between 2 people, like in an everyday social context. And then recording 2 is a monologue in an everyday social context. It can be a speech about anything, like, or local facilities. And then recording 3 is a conversation between up to 4 people set up in an educational or training context. And then recording 4 is a monologue on an academic subject. This could be between a lecturer and a student. So there are basically 4 recordings. So there are 4 parts with 10 questions each, and they're designed so that the answers appear in the order you hear the audio. So just know that when you're looking for your answer, if you found the answer in the first paragraph, then you're going down. There's no way you're going to go first paragraph, fourth paragraph, back to second paragraph. It's in chronological order. So just that's one tip. Your answers are following each other, going down. And then recordings are only heard once. So what basically happens is you've got a rough paper or I don't remember with us whether they said we shouldn't write on the question paper. They gave us a paper. I'm not sure. But you kind of write the answers as you go down. So you look at the questions first, and then when you listen to the audio, you're answering the questions, you're jotting the answers down. But then after you finish the whole audio, that's when you will then transfer your answers to a proper worksheet. So here you're just noting them down. It doesn't have to be neat because it goes so fast. You need to get the answer and move on to the next thing. And once you kind of miss it, you kind of mess up the whole thing. That's the thing. So you need to really pay attention when you're doing this. And if you miss something, don't dwell on it. Keep going, answering the rest. You'd rather lose one than lose 20 questions. So that's another tip. So anyway, these recordings I heard only once, and they can be in any accent: British, Australian, New Zealand, American, or okay, I don't know what I wrote here. But basically, the recordings are heard only once and can be in the British, the New Zealand, and the American or Canadian accents. And then, so I said there are 40 questions, and these questions could be multiple choice, they could be matching, they could be plan, map, or diagram labeling form, or they can be in sentence completion. So test takers have to write their questions down. Test takers have to write their answers down separately, and then listen to the end of the test, where they will be given 10 minutes to transfer those answers onto a proper answer sheet. So make sure when writing the answers you use the correct spellings and the correct grammar, because if you use past tense, or you use, if it's cat and you say cats, they kind of penalize you for that. So you need to make sure you're using the right spelling and you're using the right grammar. And then make sure when writing your answers, also try to make sure your handwriting is very clear, because once they can't see what you're writing or what you're trying to say, you're basically being marked wrong. So try on that day to make sure that your writing is clear. And then each question is 1 mark, and it's out of 40. And what they do then is convert it using an Ielts band conversion table. So if you've got 20 or you've got 30 out of 40, they'll convert that to the Ielts band 9 score using the Ielts band 9 scale. And then, so the whole point of this basically is to see the evidence of your ability to understand what the message in the conversation. Are you able to detail factual information? Are you able to tell what the conversation is all about? What are the main ideas in the conversation? What are their opinions? What are the abilities of the attitudes of the speakers, or the and also show the evidence of your own ability to follow development of ideas. So you need to make sense of the whole conversation that you've listened to. You need to figure out, okay, what was the point of this conversation? What, at the end of the day, what do they want to do? So I'm like, with these things, there's a lot on YouTube, there's a lot on Google. You basically have to practice and research, give yourself time. Don't rush into the exam, because it costs a lot for that exam and you don't want to waste that money. I know so many people struggle with the salaries we get back home. It's difficult to raise the money to sit for this exam. So I'd really advise you, go on Google, research all you need to research. Go on YouTube. I know there's Ielts with Liz. There's so many people there. Watch their videos, see what works for you. Because I remember the person who taught me was very good, guys, very good. Credit to him. But when I realized the reading, I think it also goes with your IQ. When it came to reading, he could read the whole passage and then answer the questions. But I couldn't read the whole passage, because by the time I'm on the 5th paragraph, I've totally forgotten what I read in the first paragraph. So for me, it was kind of identify the keywords in the question, use that to identify the paragraph with the answer. And once again, like I said, it's all chronological. So if the first question is in the first paragraph, the second question might still be in the first paragraph, or in the going down, or in the second paragraph. But there's no way you get the first question from the first paragraph, the second question from the last one, the third question from the second paragraph. No, they don't do that. They do it in chronological order. So look for good resources. If you know you've got challenges, get yourself a tutor. There's some I know who practiced on their own, just using YouTubers, and they made it. For me, I'll say I didn't prepare on time. because I took 2 weeks to prepare for it. I was fortunate to have passed on the first attempt, but my pass for reading was slightly low and I only qualified for Ireland. So if you want to give yourself many opportunities, if you want to be able to go to both Ireland and the UK and you haven't made your choice, make sure then you have enough marks for both the places. So then I'll move on to the next one, which will be reading. Now we move on to the reading part of it, guys. So this was the most challenging for me. This is what made me end up in Ireland, but I have no regrets anyhow. I think it's what makes a lot of people end up here anyway, because Ireland is a bit more lenient on the reading mark. But basically, if you're not yet sure where you want to go or you want to keep your options open, then just prepare on time. For me, I know it was because I only prepared in 2 weeks for the exam, but I'm sure if you practice more, if you research more about it, there's lots of material on Google, there's lots of material on YouTube, guys. Like, honestly, if you give yourself time, you might not even need a tutor if you really work hard at it. But if you know you've got challenges, don't say Pamela said. Like I said, I'm not an expert at this. I'm just giving you my advice or my experience of it. I had a tutor because I prepared in 2 weeks and it worked for me. I passed at the first trial and that was good enough. So do what works for you at the end of the day. So reading, like I said, was the most challenging for me. It's a 60-minute exam and it's got 40 questions, and just like listening, they'll also use a band, an Ielts band 9 scale to give you a band score, right? And reading basically has 3 passages. These passages could be taken from magazines, from newspapers, from journals. So it's things they know the general can answer. It's not specialist articles or anything like that, or things that really need you to be an expert. From general knowledge, you can answer this. They know anyone. So I think it's sort of the same, but the academic would probably be a bit more challenging than the general, if that's my opinion. But then still, research, don't take my word for it, research on everything. And all I know, or what I want to really do now, is to give you tips on exactly how to tackle it. So the first thing is practice reading different kinds of texts. Like I know a lot of people from back home who, when they were now preparing to come or preparing for the Ielts, were reading a lot of novels, were reading a lot of magazines. I remember my tutor even advised me to listen, like if you've got DSTV, listen to BBC. That's what my tutor advised me, because they were saying that accent that you hear there is very familiar with the accents that you hear in the exam. So that's another thing. Listen to those news interviewers on BBC. They've got all different kinds of accents. That will help. And then also, before you answer any question, read each question properly, and to make it easier to find the answer later. So, like I said, with me, I'll always read the question first, and then look for the answer. That's me, And then, if you can, mark possible answers while you read. There are things like dates. There are things like places. They are likely to ask those type of things, so you can just underline it as you go. And then, what else? Start with the cursory reading of the text to have a generic idea of what it's about. So you can go through it like just generally, and then go deep into it. Do you understand? You can browse through first and mark keywords and everything, and then go back and then like take it step by step now and understand what the message is. Then once you're more familiar, like I said, after the cursory reading is like browsing, you then go deeper. Now you read more carefully, keeping in mind the questions. Now that's my trick, guys. I'll do the questions first, and then when I go into the passage, I'm basically looking for, because there's also no time really to like dwell on a lot of things. You'll see that 60 minutes will be like 10 minutes. Anyway, so then also you don't need to apply your own knowledge, because all the answers are in the passage. So just like I said, if you identify the keywords and use them to locate the answer in the paragraph, the answer is there. That's it. You don't have to think outside the box, basically. And then there can be questions that want to test your understanding of the given passage. It could be about the topic, like maybe like they kind of want you to summarize or to, I don't know, to just conclude, kind of, if I may put it that way. But you have the whole idea from the paragraph. And then also, like I said, mark keywords, mark dates, mark places, and you can use that to spot the answer. And then ensure your spellings are always correct. I mentioned this again when answering listening. You have to have correct answers, otherwise they'll mark you wrong or they'll penalize you. And what else? If you're attempting the Ielts on paper, I don't know, in some places they do it on the computer. We did it like on paper. You will not get extra time. So make sure you're doing, for reading, make sure as you're reading, you're writing your answers. That's it. I know extra time is on listening to copy the answers onto the answer sheet, but for reading you need to put your answers down as you go. Otherwise, that's all the tips I can give you. If you've got any more questions, you can comment down below. I hope it helps someone. And then now we'll move on to the next one. Now we move on to the academic writing part of it. This one is also 60 minutes, and in those 60 minutes you're given two tasks, task 1 and task 2. Task 1 could be, you could be given a pie chart, a graph, a table, whatever diagram, and you're supposed to like describe it or illustrate or explain the information on that graph in your own words. Then you may be asked to describe and present data, or you may be asked to describe the stages of a process or how something works, or describe an object, plan, or design. So this one is tricky. I think I was fortunate. I was taught this by my tutor, but I think I didn't get a question like this. I think they changed it somehow, so I was very fortunate. But these are things you need to practice. Like I said, go on Google, go on YouTube. There's lots of these things, so you kind of know what to expect and how to answer. And task 2, basically, you are writing an essay, and you're supposed to write it in a semi-formal way, and you're supposed to give your point of view. Or so basically you are writing an essay, and at the end of it you need to give your point of view, or you need to conclude, and then on the argument or the problem. And then you need to support. So guys, the basics of an essay: you need to support your point of view with relevant examples. You need to tell us the what do they say, the advantages, the disadvantages, and then conclude giving us your side of the story. Sometimes you can remain neutral or whatever, but practice. Like I said, there's so many examples of this again online. Practice, practice, practice. And yeah, what else can I tell you that I jotted down? So like I said, the visual, you can be given for task 1, you can be given visual information like a pie chart, a graph, a table, a map. Yeah, a map. I hated maps when I was practicing. I think I got a table or something. I got something very simple, but they could give you a map. So you need to know how to like get all the data you can from all these things. So practice. And then also you'll be given instructions on how to summarize the information you see by selecting and reporting the main features that are on the diagram. And then if you need to make comparisons, you need to make comparisons. And also so basically you need to write the intro, like it's the basic essay, the way we used to do essays in school. Write an introduction, write an overview, what you see, and then present and highlight the key features with figures like data, years. I remember there were years, like everything on the diagram. If there are years, if there are places, you need to put them. And then they'll give you a minimum amount of words that you need to have, like I think it's 150 or something. And then in task 2 of the academic writing, you're asked to write an essay in response to a point of view. So these should be written in an academic or a semi-formal style, and topics are about relevant issues or something going on at the moment worldwide, or something they know you can address. And then what else? They'll give you information about the question, telling you how to discuss the topic in your essay. And you don't have to tell the truth, guys. You can lie, or you can give factual information like they say, but so long as it's believable. And also, what else? it's important that you complete the task carefully and relevantly, like give relevant ideas and examples, and your ideas should be organized. Don't be all over the place. Sort of like do it in a sequence. And also, yeah, is it a minimum of 250 words? I don't quite remember, but I'm sure you'll know all that by the time you go into the exam. And also, yeah, I guess that's it. I think this is, like I said, the academic writing would probably be different from the general. So know and prepare for the exam that you're taking. If you're taking the general, prepare for it in the general way. If you're taking the academic, prepare for it in the academic way. All the best. Now we go on to the last one. Right, we're on the last one now. This is the speaking part of it. I find this is the easiest part of it. Those guys are so nice. The people who do the exam with you, they're really nice. They make you feel comfortable. Just flow. Don't like. I don't think it's advisable. Maybe it works for other people. I don't think it's advisable to start learning new words just for the exam. Use the words that you know, because at least you know where to use them. If you just pick up 10 new words from the dictionary and try and go and say them in an IELTS exam, I don't think it will help you, because you might not really understand what context you should be using them in. So I would advise you to, with the English that you know, right, just flow. Like, talk to that person like you're talking to your friend. Don't memorize answers, please. Just flow. Like, if they ask you, I don't want to give examples, but then don't use big and unfamiliar words. Just use simple, straightforward words. Don't use a range of grammatical structures. So when you look on those YouTube videos that teach about English, you see all these things. Don't worry about your accent. Like, we've all got different accents. I think I realized this when I moved to Ireland. There are so many, like, there's so many diverse cultures here, guys. There's so many of us. The Africans only. We've got Nigerians, we've got Zimbabweans. I didn't think I had an accent, but now I can tell the difference between my accent, a South African accent, a Nigerian accent, an Irish accent, a British accent. So don't worry about your accent at all. And then you can pause to think. Don't put yourself under pressure. If you feel like you've got thought block, try to sort of give yourself a quick second to think, and then avoid using fillers and extend your answers. What else? Smiling helps pronunciation, by the way. And yeah, I think the other thing what you can do is practice the common IELTS topics, which makes it easier. Sometimes they'll ask about, oh, tell us, like, okay, I'll give an example of what I'm not saying this is what will come, please don't quote me. They ask me, oh, tell us about a meal that you had recently. Then I was like, oh, tell us about a cuisine. A cuisine is like a type of food, basically. So I was like, oh, okay, it was my son's birthday and we had a party, and the meals cooked there were all from an African cuisine, and we cooked this and this, and I described it. Then she started asking me, oh, your son, how old was he turning? And what did you get him? Did you like his present? So it just keeps flowing. Honestly, those people are not out to sabotage you guys. They'll kind of help you and ask you questions that all they want to hear is your English and how you can explain yourself at the end of the day. So don't try to use fancy words. Just use the words that you know, and yeah, just practice the common topics, because I think they'll probably make you, I don't know, more confident. One, they might just ask you the same thing, and yeah, just practice. So that's it I can say, guys, for IELTS. I'm not a tutor. I basically winged it, like I said in the beginning. So I wish you all the best. I kind of figured, since people were asking about this, I should go back and start from there, because basically without IELTS, you can't do anything else with the process, or to get here, or to get into the UK. So all the best on those who are going to attempt. Confidence. Keep your confidence up. And yeah, if we could do it, you could do it.